Hello everybody, Victoria Lampini here, and in this next tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a very basic stick figure character in Maya. First off, let's start out with the head. It's got this big circle right here, this sphere. Now see these lines? If you want to scale the sphere, you can click on these bars right here to scale it, and if you want to undo anything, just press the Z button. If you want to rotate the camera angle, hold down Alt and press the left mouse button and move the mouse. If you want to move the camera without rotating, hold down Alt and press the middle mouse button to move like this. Now back to this thing right here. Now let's add some color to it. So we'll go up to this blue circle right here. This is the hyper shade. So let's see what we can do here. First off, we got the ones with shine, anisotropic, blend, Fong, and Fong-E. Those are the basic ones of shine and light reflecting. And Lambert right here is the one that does not reflect light but does show shed. Now because we want this stick figure to look a little cool, why don't we add some shine to him? Let's start with the Fong. Now to add color, we come over here to color, and we press this gray circle right here, and then you've got this, and you can basically choose through any array of colors you can possibly think of. So let's make this guy purple. And this right here, specular shading, is the shine of this Fong color. If you want the shine to be bigger or smaller, go to cosine power. So you make a shiny light model or something else. And you can even make the shine a different color. You can make it from white to like blue. Now to add the color onto it, you can do one of two things. First off, you can click the object you want to color, go up to the color you want to use, hold down the right mouse button, and then while holding down onto the right mouse button, you drag up here and go to Assign Material to Selection. You can either do that, or you can click on the color you want, hold down the middle mouse button and drag it onto the thing you want to color. Now let's get back to the color that we want. There we go. Now you see how that shine looks? Well, you can change the shine to be smaller or larger, depending on what the specular color is. Okay, so we got this sphere, which will be the stick figure head. So now, hold on. So now let's add the spine. So let's go over here to the shapes, the polygons, and we click on the cylinder. Now I remember in the last video I used a cylinder as well. And if you guys watched that video, if you want to animate the cylinder effectively, you need to insert some edge loops. But before I do that, I want to show you guys some basics on texturing. So let's go over here. I guess I can show texturing later if I want to show you how to add clothing. So for now, let's just add this color to the cylinder. And now, let's go over to modeling, go over to mesh tools, and insert some edge loops so that we can animate the cylinder. Instead, just add some edge sweeps. Yeah, like that. Okay, now let's make the arms and we can use the cylinder. Now, instead of just making a new cylinder with new edge shapes, why don't we duplicate this so we can do that instead of just making a new one. Now, I don't know what the hotkey is for duplicate, but you'll be able to find it. I really prefer to do it the long way. So, when you have your object selected, go to Edit, and go down here to Duplicate, or press Ctrl D, whatever you want to do. And then there you have it, your object will be duplicated. I don't recommend that you use copy and pasting, because that's not really what's meant to be done in softwares like this. That's something you should actually do in Photoshop instead. Let's make this thing so it seems like it's in a triangular position. I mean a cross position or something like that. Okay, now let's do the same thing for the legs. We'll duplicate again. And we can bring it down here. For the legs. This stick figure has very long legs. Now, before we add bones to this thing, I'm going to make sure that you'll be able to do this with all of the parts itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all these in a certain order. Now remember, to select multiple objects, you hold down the Shift button or you left click on them. So when you got them all selected, now be sure that you have the middle part selected last so that will be the main point. Then we go to Edit, then we go to Parent. Now, when we click on the midsection, we are moving the entire body. But when we click on the leg, we just move the leg. See that? So we have this body now. We have it, yes. And now it's time to add the bones. So we go to Rigging, and you remember what happens when you rig in the normal perspective view. And it gets all messed up. See, that happens. So what do we do to ensure that doesn't happen? Easy, we have to go to this little square right here of 4 squares. Okay, so right here, this angle right here would be perfect for us to rig our character. So let's turn on viewing the bones with this button right here. Let's start making bones. First, let's start at the bottom. With this right here. Dot. 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 Sorry, that's a little crooked. Dot. 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 And then we move up to the head. Dot. Now that we have our spine, now we can add in the arms. Now as this goes up, the bone that is the main connection is the one at the bottom. You see that? The first bone that you make will always be the one that's connected to these and is the main source of the animation, where the animation begins. So let's now add the arm bones. Dot, 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 dot. Now, for those of you who want your bones to be symmetrical, I'll add in a little strategy you can use. But first, let's add in the legs. Dot, 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 dot. Okay, now we can go back into perspective view since we set up our bones in the right way. Now, we can click on this arm bone right here, and then we can connect it to this bone right here. First, we select this bone, then we hold down Shift and we select the bone that we wanted to attach to, and then we go up to Edit and press the Parent button, and now you see the bone is connected. Now let's go to the leg bone, and go down here, and we do the same thing. And be sure that you first select the bone you want to attach and become the child of the other bone. You select this bone first and then the one that you want to keep it in place. Now, let's go from modeling to rigging. And now, to keep things even and our bones symmetrical, you go to this bone where this thing connects, see? And then you go to skeleton, then you go to mirror joints. But the thing is, you've got to make sure that it mirrors in the right direction. So let's go to mirror joints, and then we'll go to this little square right next to it. Then we'll see mirror across these certain directions. So let's see, XY didn't work, so let's try YZ this time. There, you see? Now it's a completely equal bone that goes on the same way. Now let's try it for the leg bone. Apply. Yeah, we did it! There it is, the same thing. Okay, now what we're going to do is that we're going to click on the main bone that allows us to select all the bones. See? The main bone is this one right here. That was the first bone ever made. And all our bones are connected to it. So now we hold down the Shift button and click on our stick figure, the whole parented stick figure, by clicking the one thing that connects them all. Then we go to Skin. Then we go to Bind Skin. Now let's see how it looks. Oh wow, you guys see? You see that? Now the head is being warped by the bones, and that's something that we do not want. Now, I wonder if there's a way that you can see the skin weights. Paint skin weights. Yeah, but unfortunately I don't really know how to do this thing. But there is another method that I myself use for this kind of scenario. So first off, let's undo the bind skin by pressing Z a few times so you see they've gone back to their original color. Now, what I do to prevent this from happening, I add extra bones that keeps it in place. So let's add a bone here, and then we'll add a bone here, and then we'll press that, then we'll parent it to this, and we'll press this, and we'll parent it to that. I guess we just could use the mirror joints thing, but that's okay. I guess I could still do the mirror joint thing, yeah. Now let's go back to skeleton, go back to mirror joints, and there we go. Now let's see if this gives off a better result. So we click on this as well, and we'll go to bind skin again. Let's see what it does now. There's still a little bit of deformation, but it's not really that much. I think it might be okay this time. Yeah, so now our stick figure is moving. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's got all those joints. Seems to be working pretty well. That was the basics of it, but now I want to show you guys something else. Let's add some clothes to this stick figure. How to add clothes to a stick figure. First, we've got to make the clothes. So why don't we just make something really simple. So let's make a cube like this. And we'll make it to fit this stick figure. And now, in order to make sure that it animates well, first, let's get rid of the buttons. Now, if you want to modify the mesh itself, you can click on the mesh, the object, the polygon, then you hold down the right mouse button, and you drag along to select the vertex, edge, or face. Vertex, this is where you modify the points. And edge is where you modify the lines. And face is where you modify the faces of the polygon. If you want to delete a face, just click on that and press the delete button. We're going to do that because the shirt has to stay like that. And the shirt does have holes in it after all. Okay, next, of course, we have to add in some edge loops. You could either do that or you can do something else. Go to object mode, and then what we can do is that we can come up here to this right here where it has 4 squares white and orange squares a lot more. See that? And then you press that, and then you smooth it out. You divide and multiply the faces of the polygon. That should be good. I'll add in one more extra thing to show you guys how to import textures onto the designs. First, let's make a new color. So let's go for a lamp, because this piece of clothes is not going to be shiny or anything. So what you want to do, if you want to add texture, you need to go to the color bar and click on this black and white square right here. And then, if you want to choose a texture that you have on file on your computer, you go to File. And that will bring you to here, File. Next, you click on this yellow folder right here. So you can search through files. You go to where texture is that you're looking for. And then, once you find the texture, double click on it, and there it is. Now if you want to make it brighter and more noticeable, you hit exposure. But if you want to gain a little bit of color to it, like if you want to modify the color a bit, you can press color gain, choose a color to modify it with. So I can make this thing a little more blue and green, or pink, or red. There we go. Now we can either right click and go to assign material to selection, or we can hold down the middle mouse button to drag it over to the thing we want to color. Now, you've noticed that we can't see it right now. That's because we're not in texture view. In order to get in texture view, we can click on the 6 button. And as you might have noticed, the texture seems a little bit big, don't you think? Well, that is something that we can fix with these right here. Since this is a cylinder, we can click on this, and we click on this right here that seems to be like a curved surface. Then we click on this, and would you look at that? And then you can move it around a bit. You can scale it down. It does get a little tricky and twitchy, so yeah, that will work good for a cylinder. This will work on a flat surface, and for a 3-dimensional surface, you can work on this. Yeah. Like a cube or something. Or what you can do is, you can select faces by themselves. Then, you can make the texture even smaller. See that? Yeah. Okay, so now we got this. Why don't we slim it down a bit to make it seem more like a dress or something? So what we can do is we can hold down the right mouse button when we have our polygon selected and go to Edge. And then we can click on an edge, and then we can press the right or left arrow keys to select the whole thing around. Now let's go to scale. We can scale these lines up, and we can drag it down so that it looks like a skirt. Then we can do the same thing over here, and then we can scale it down. To make it look more like a waist tugger. Yeah, but not too much. And then we can go over here. We can slim this thing down. There we go. Now, there are 2 ways that you can do this. One, you can click on this. Then you can click on the bone armature. And go over to rigging. And you can choose to have the clothing bind the skin, just like you did with the animation. As you can see, it looks really cool. Looks like it seems to be working. But that's not the only thing you can do. That's not the only method you can use. Another thing you can do is you can click on the clothing, and then you can click on mesh. Let's see if I can get to the mesh. There you go. Then you can click on the character body. Then you can go to deform, and then select wrap. Now this might make animating a little bit slower, but it seems to work for me most of the time, so that's good. See, now it's moving along the character. There you go, that's looking good, isn't it? Well, that's the basics of rigging and putting clothes on a character. So that should be enough for now. Okay then, I'll see you later if I plan to make another one, okay? Bye.